All right, good afternoon, everyone. Futures Brizio here. It is Wednesday, July 23rd. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. As always, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and any questions or comments, leave them down below. So, per the usual, we'll just do a quick review of what's happening in the markets today and potentially what we might see here on some of these futures markets, and we'll maybe take a very quick look at a couple of Forex things, but we'll, as usual, keep it mostly to futures. So let's just jump right in. So this is 10-year yields, okay? And so if we go out to a little bit higher time frame to the 4-hour, you can see, recently we've been in a downtrend here. We had this swing high from last week, came down very aggressively, made a new low, and now it's come all the way back up to this previous high. Now, of course, it is having a bearish reaction off this level, which you would anticipate, right? Because either people that were long taking profit here, or sellers, bears trying to jump back in at a better price at this level. So there's obviously going to be a lot of interest in this level where you see this arrow back at these highs. And so, we'll have to see how that shakes out. Now, a couple of things if I was a bear to be concerned about is, we came back up right here and we had this one single bearish candle. This probably sucked in a lot of sellers that this was the end of the retracement and we were going to go back down. We had one bear candle on the 4-hour chart and then bam, we had this huge bullish candle snapped up here and created this higher low. So we had this low, but we now have a higher low put in, and now we're back up at this level. Now it doesn't mean this uptrend is going to be followed through, but it doesn't mean it won't either. At this point, if I was going to be a bull on this market, I'd want to see price now, pull back here and then come up and close back over these highs, basically over this red line. And if we get another push up here and takes out this high again, or takes out this high, it did not take it out here, then certainly that would probably lead to a shift to more bullish price action. If we go to the 1-hour chart, here it is on the 1-hour. Here's that move down, push up, what looked like a resumption of the downtrend here. It snapped higher and went up here and made this new high. Now, again, right now, price is trying to react and pull back away from this level. It's also not a great time of day. It's 2:30. So I'm not sure how much weight you put into this right now. If we go down to the 15-minute where we are here, here's that big candle that led to this part of this high. Well, this was that overall 4-hour candle right here, but the most recent part of it is right here where we snapped higher. But again, we failed to break through these highs. There was multiple 15-minute candles here that tried to break over this high and it couldn't. And now we do have a small candle here on this time frame sitting underneath here. It looks like it's trying to go lower. So it's kind of an interesting spot, but I was tempted just to take a short here and just because it's relatively low risk, but I just don't like the time of day that this is happening. And so I'll probably just leave it and see what happens tomorrow, because I just tend to try to stay away from these things at this time of day. All right, so but some interesting looks here on 10-year yields. Whether we're going to have another push lower here or whether we're potentially shifting to higher prices, which again, we would have to take out these highs up here. So, is this an impulsive move up and now we're just in a pullback and then the next move will smash through this level? I don't know. Or are we going to continue the downtrend off of here? And this was just basically, 100% retracement of this last move down. The thing is if you look at previous pullback areas on this market, say on like the 1-hour chart, well, actually it doesn't really matter, but we'll keep it on the 1-hour. We don't really see 100% pullbacks anywhere. Like if you look at this last downtrend over here, every time there's a pullback, I mean, I'm just eyeballing these. These look to be at like anywhere between maybe 50 and the 78.6 fib retracement. They're not really pulling back to 100%. So to see this come here to 100%, you know, yes, it is technically still in a downtrend, but we don't really see pullbacks of this magnitude. So, and again, the fact that we have a higher low sitting here, it does have me a little bit concerned if I was a bear, okay? And I have been bearish on this market. So I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Like I said, this is just not the time of day to take a new trade. But in context, this is a pretty big move back to the upside. And with this higher low put in on the shorter time frames, and the fact that we came all the way back literally to 100% of this previous move down, a little concerning for bears. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. All right, so on to natural gas. Continues to move down here. And I left so much of this on the table. But if we zoom out a little bit, we're at contract lows right now. So we'll look at the CFD chart, the cash chart after, and we'll see where we're at in there because I don't really see a bottom here on this. So we'll have to look at some of the cash charts to kind of get maybe a better view of where this is going to go. All right. So, but anyways, does look to be fairly bearish as we speak here. But we'll have to look at some longer time frame levels to see, you know, how that might play out. Guys, I will be right back in a moment. All right, guys, sorry I'm back. I was looking out the window while I was talking, and it looks like it's about to rain here, and the windows to my car were open, so I had to go out and close them. But anyways, so we'll take a look at natural gas, but obviously this has been in a very aggressive downtrend. So we'll see. Corn, the market is now closed for the day, but you can see I'm in a short right here. And basically, if we go out to the 4-hour chart, we had this little corrective up move, which again did not get up to this liquidity level here. I expected it to. It tried, but it failed. But basically, we had a break of this structure, which this right here is basically the last swing low that was put in this high. So once we broke this structure, I figured it was pretty safe to continue the downtrend here. This is a 4-hour chart, so it's still a late entry. But obviously I'm in this short, and since the market's closed now for the day, I'm obviously going to be holding on to this into at least the overnight session. All right, and again, we'll take a look at the CFD chart. Kind of the same story in soybeans. You can see I'm short on this. And again, just looking at the 4-hour chart, we're continuing to be in a downtrend here. If we look at these big major swings, we start up here, came down, up, down, up. This is a very typical trending move here, and this is a 4-hour chart. So I do expect that we'll see prices, you know, at least come down towards this major swing. And, you know, we had an aggressive move off this level, this little pullback here, about the 50% retracement. And then we had this really aggressive 4-hour candle down, which that's when I entered it. As soon as we broke structure on these shorter time frames here, this was a good place to get in, I felt. So I'm going to hold this. I do think that this will probably make its way down quite a bit further. I'm hopeful, but just based on the overall flow of this asset, it is bearish. You just have to remember that this thing is going to put in some pretty big swings. You know, we came down here, look at the size of this swing. I mean, this is a 4-hour chart. So, I mean, these uptrends, these corrective moves up are tradable to the upside on a shorter time frame. I mean, you can't do it on a 4-hour chart because you don't get the market flow view, you know, on the 4-hour chart, but certainly you can do it on a shorter time frame. I wasn't planning on doing this, but let's just look at this one on, say, like the 1-hour chart. So we'll just look at this area inside this rectangle. Okay, so here was that low that was put in. We had this little swing. Again, this is the hourly chart. So theoretically, anything from like this point right here, you could have traded this to the upside, because here was the last swing low on the 1 hour. Price came up as soon as this level was taken out, which would have been like right in here. There's your move, and you can see we kept structure going all the way up here, right? Higher highs, higher lows, pretty obvious. And it wasn't really until like this point right here where we finally started breaking lower. And then I think the first major swing point on this up move to be broken was right here, which is where I got into this market. So you can see, you know, these pullbacks are tradable on shorter time frames. So it all just depends on your perspective, right? That's why I think looking at these higher time frames are necessary, so that you get the overall flow of the market. Doesn't mean you can't trade it counter trend on a longer time frame, on a shorter time frame. It's just you have to, you know, kind of have that that bigger picture. And that's what you see here on soybeans clearly. So, all right. And then lastly, for futures, let's look at crude oil. Crude oil, you can see I got a lot of lines drawn here. This is the 4-hour chart. And, you know, we were trading, we had this big move down, then we were trading, you know, up. It wasn't very aggressive, but we were putting in higher highs, higher lows. And then we came down here and we took out this swing right here, right? We took out this swing right here with this low. All right. And then we pulled back, started going down again. We came back to this area, and now its price is seemingly rejected. So I'm a little leery on trading because I'm not sure where this one's going to go. And again, we'll look at the CFD chart. If we go down to an hourly chart, you know, we've got this level right here. This is the last kind of major swing on the 1 hour. So theoretically, you could say, okay, if price comes and takes out this level, then maybe we trade back higher again. Whether it gets all the way back up here, I don't know. But, you know, that's kind of the line in the sand for me on this time frame. If we go to an even shorter time frame, we've got, you know, this level in here, where, you know, price, you know, whether you want to talk about there or right here, it's really the same area. You know, where price kind of has come down, and, you know, on this is the 15-minute time frame. We broke through this level. And then if you want to look at, you know, the structure on the 15-minute, here's a swing low that was just put in recently. And so, you know, this is what I'm saying, like the market is fractal, and you have to just, you know, depending what time frame you want to enter on, that's fine. You can look for the structure. This time frame is still a little short for me. So I'm still more inclined to stick around the 1 hour chart. And I'm fine letting, you know, from here to here go, because I'm looking at this level right here. To me, this is an important level, and this is only a 1 hour time frame. But again, you have to decide, you know, what time frame and how much you want to be looking at the charts and all that. And, you know, to me, obviously, the shorter you go, the more noise you're getting, the more you're going to have to just really sit and watch every candle, because things could change very quickly, especially if you're trading against the larger trend. So on this 1 hour chart, you know, price is clearly in a downtrend. You know, when we look for this from here, and actually even from here, right, we had big move down, corrective move. This is kind of like what we see like with corn and soybeans, right? We just have major swings, major pullback areas. So, you know, downtrend, pullback, downtrend. Okay. And so then maybe, you know, now we pull back up again and take out, you know, some portion of this, you know, if we draw a Fibonacci from this high to this low, you know, maybe we get back to the 50 or the 61.8 or the 78.6, somewhere above this red line I have drawn, you know, here on the hourly chart, right? Maybe we do get back somewhere up into this area, you know, basically between here and here on the 1 hour chart before we head back down. So it can be confusing, but, you know, just keep yourself grounded in the higher time frame trend. You know, in futures, I like using the 4 hour as my higher time frame, although I will look at the cash charts to get the bigger picture that you might not get on a futures chart, which again we'll show in a second. but the 4 hour is a good place for me to look at. And so this isn't in a downtrend. It's just a matter of how far it's going to go up before it's, it potentially rolls back over again. Now, I think overall, if by